Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Lake Clark Shores Town Council meeting, August 13th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gregory Freebold,
Here.
Vice Mayor John Maples,
Here.
President Pro Tem Bridget Keating,
Present.
Councilmember Taylor Materio,
Here.
Councilmember Christy Mossbach.
Absent.
Okay, this evening, we're going to have a moment of silence. Pastor, you'll give us in your invocation afterwards. Tonight, we're remembering Ariel Morrigas. He's only 51 years young. Oh, that's young. Passed on July 10th, 2024. Had lived in Lake Clark Shores since 2002.
Our Father in heaven, we come to you tonight, Lord, and I start off with to thank you for the privilege to pray tonight before the meeting. Lord, I never see this as formality. I see it as reality. We're talking to the very God of heaven. And Lord, we come to you tonight and just thinking about life for a moment, thinking about how brief life is. This dear person died at 51. Life is so brief. Life is going by so quickly. And so, Lord, we just thank you for that family, Lord, tonight. And we pray, Lord, and thank you for their input into this world, into our community. God bless their family tonight. I pray that you just meet their every need. Lord, each new day, we think about each new day, and each new day in life brings forth a lot of challenges, a lot of new issues, a lot of times, a lot of problems. But Lord, each day can bring forth some victories too, some resolutions to our problems. And so, Lord, I think about this group of people that stand before us tonight, these board members. And Lord, a lot of our problems and issues here in Lake Clark Shores, they're resolved by these good people here. They work hard. Lord, they give of their time. They give their time freely, and time is life. So, Lord, I thank you for them tonight. I pray tonight that you would just bless them. I pray, Lord, that we have a beautiful, peaceful meeting tonight. I pray, Lord, for unity. Unity, you never get much accomplished or anything accomplished without unity. And Lord, I pray for wisdom tonight, wisdom from upon high. May we have the wisdom of God to know what to do tonight. So, Lord, I pray your blessing. Lord, I want to thank you for the chief tonight and his officers, the men and women in blue tonight. I always want to pray for them, Lord, that you'd watch over them, protect them. May they feel appreciated. May these board members feel appreciated. And Lord, may we appreciate what you've done for us to allow us to live in America by your grace. And Lord, we get to live in a beautiful little spot in the world called Lake Clark Shores. We thank you for that. God bless America tonight. And I thank you for all that you're doing for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with audience comments. Tim?
Timothy Daughtry, 1410 Keller Road. First thing I want to address is our engineering expenses. I saw a takedown of pricing we've spent already for engineering service for septic to sewer conversion, and that's only for 2 phases of it. We got another 3 phases to go, and it's a lot of money. And I'm concerned about how much we're spending for engineering services. And tonight we're discussing spending another 190,000, okay, to oversee the bridge, which already is hitting us and taking us right dead against our reserve, okay? And so all of a sudden now we got to spend another $200,000. Maybe it's time we start looking at some other engineers to do some of our work for us at better value for what we're spending. Really, really, really concerned about that. Number 2, the roads. I know we voted last month for doing some work on Beta Court. I would suggest that is one of the worst intersections with Pine Tree that we have. I would suggest that the one at Alpha Court North and Pine Tree is as bad, or maybe even worse so, going down to the next intersection and needs some attention immediately. I also noticed there's a couple spots in the road up and down Pine Tree that are starting to drop. Specifically, I'll mention a area just one house down from Mike Fritz's house on that side of the road where the road is starting to really get bad. It's a big hole. It's a big hole and it needs attention. It needs attention now. Okay. And the last thing is, and I'll bring that up again, Pine Tree Bridge. We're going to be closing down Pine Tree Lane and I'm going to have to look at all this traffic coming in front of my house. We need to be able to control the traffic at that intersection with South Lake and Keller and the Keller Road Bridge. A three-way stop sign at that intersection is entirely appropriate. And I'll keep saying that every time. Something needs to be done and it should have been done a long time ago and it still hasn't been done. And I also want to commend our officer here tonight. He comes here dressed very professionally every time we have a town council meeting. And his name came up in conversation that I had with one of the higher ups in the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office this week, and we were discussing him extensively, and I would commend him for his professionalism and what he gives back for our town. I think he really steps out there for us and really does represent us very, very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, do we have any other audience comments? Yep, come on up, Pam. It's gonna steal the show, you know.
Pamela Sharp, 8341 Pine Tree Lane.
Pull the microphone down more to you, Pam. There you go.
Trying to tell me I've lived here since the 60s. This is the first time in almost 30 years. I have to agree with Tim. Pine Tree Lane was always there. We had the street sweeper come. It was always paved. It was beautiful. And Pine Tree is just a mess. And I want to know, when is it going to be repaired and paved? We seem to have money for everything else.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I can't walk my dog on there. He's filthy. You get back, and even my socks are filthy. So can somebody please tell me when it's going to be repaired?
Okay.
Get that week.
Taking notes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Pam.
Any other audience comments? Well, yes, sir. Come on up.
Kevin Klopp, 1600 Corandas Road. I was following up on some notes that I looked at from a couple of meetings ago wherein the state representatives were in. And they discussed money available for helping us sweep the bottom of the ponds and lakes here to remove, what was it, Palm City's release? And I was here last month. I didn't hear anything about it. Now, maybe I missed a meeting. Have we made progress on that? And I know this is not Q&A time. My other question is, are we going to get a vote when it comes to septic to sewer, or is that going to be a decision made by the town council without a vote for those people who are impacted? So that's really my two questions. Like I said, I know this is not Q&A. I wanted to bring it up again. And so when you get to your comments, maybe you can answer those two. I got nothing else.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other audience comments? Any emailed?
No.
Nope. No written anything? We're good to go. Okay. We'll have a motion for approval of agenda.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, with to the consent moving item 4D to unfinished business.
4D. Okay. Okay. We have a second? Anybody got a second for that? Huh? No? Okay, so with the approval, he can move agenda D, so we're not approving that. He can do that. He can move that from there. We just need to have the approval of consent, or do we do that after?
It's Charlie.
Charlie, if we move 4D, do we do that after?
You do 4D after, but you go ahead and approve the rest of the consent agenda minus 4D.
Got it.
So it would be a new motion.
Yes, so we need a second for that motion, just to approve it, but we're moving 4D to unfinished business.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
carries. Okay. Let's see, we have no presentations, no quasi judicial proceedings, no public hearing. We'll do unfinished business.
Gotta do 4.
Huh?
Gotta do 4. Just,
Oh, the consent?
Yeah.
Miss consent, I'm sorry.
It's okay. What's
So,
up?
yeah, can we have a motion for consent?
Except for D.
The
That's
first
the
was
one
the,
for- That's the one for D.
But
Except for D, you have to approve everything else except for D.
Okay, so we did that. They got a second on it, right? You second
No, they
the
moved.
consent?
Thought we did.
That's what I
thought they
thought we
moved.
did.
Taylor.
I think were we on the approval of the agenda?
yes,
We
and
talked
and
consent.
we jumped ahead to the consent agenda.
Okay, so
Okay, as long as we think we approved the
are
consent
you good with
agenda.
that, Charlie?
Could always
Should
just,
we do it
let's
separate to
just
do
do it. Let's
consent?
just do it again.
All right,
because-
so just let's have a motion for approval of agenda.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
No, we're just
Just
doing
the
the
agenda.
Just
agenda.
to
We'll
approve
go
the
to
agenda.
consent next.
Okay, for the agenda.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Now consent?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with moving 4D to unfinished business.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank
sorry
you.
about that. I was with you on that. I just followed you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. So we're going to go to unfinished business, a procedure to appoint members to various boards and committees. Mr. Rebello, you want to tackle that?
Yes, Councilmember Materio brought this up last month, that we have some procedures, but we don't have any detailed procedures. We have some code, and we presented that in the packet, some of it dating back from 1980, and there's a couple of revisions in there, but obviously the policy, Taylor's correct, it's not very detailed. So this is a discussion where we can talk about this for the next several months, because there's no rush to get it right, but we want to get it right. So we put 13 points in the memo here to talk about them, and then we can talk about if this needs to be done by resolution or it needs to be done by a code change. Because some things, if it's just a policy, it can be done in a resolution. So I think we should just talk about them, and I'll explain them all. And then you could tell me at the end if you think they're worthy of more investigation or more research. What we did was we went out to all the municipalities in Palm Beach County. We surveyed them. How do they pick board members for their committees? Everyone does it differently. We also used ChatGPT and we said, how do you pick board members? And that gave us some ideas too. AI is great. So let's go over these 13 points, and then after, if you have any questions, please let me know. The first one, it allows business owners to be on our boards. Staff's indifferent about that, but if you'd like that, you'd have to change the code, because the code does say code members shall be residents. The next thing is, I've never seen this before, so we'd have to do more research, but staff interviews the candidates and recommends them to the town council. Again, have no experience with that, never seen that in another city. I don't know if you've seen that, Charlie.
I have not.
Okay.
And that would have to be subject to the sunshine law.
I'm pretty sure Lake Worth did do that at one point.
With staff.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll call Lake Worth then. And Emily's did this memo so she can help me and
Yeah.
chime in anytime, Emily.
Yes.
Was Lake Worth Beach?
I don't remember what Lake Worth did. Do you, Mary?
I just took a bunch of. all
Yeah,
of
we
the
had
stuff.
so many response, so I don't remember.
All right. The next thing is obviously I've seen, and it is used, where the candidates come to a board meeting, they actually make a presentation before the board, and it's like an interview. And then you make a selection. That has good points. It's being used, but also it puts the council in where you have to decide on a member. So it puts some of the council members on an uncomfortable situation. The next are just informational. Interviews assess the candidate's knowledge, experience, and commitments to serve on the board. Candidates are evaluated based on qualifications, experience, interview performance, and ability to contribute to the board, and provide more details and required qualifications for the board. So the interviews, a lot of what we got from AI and other communities, interviews are important. So the next thing that we saw was we actually have in the code right now is consider diversification in backgrounds. If you look at in our background materials, it says the code board, when possible, whenever possible, so it's not mandated, should be made up of an architect, a businessman, an engineer, a general contractor, and so on and so on. So we have that in our code right now. The next thing it says, and I've never seen this in a code, but it does happen. Applicants are appointed first come, first serve. I guess on a small municipality like us, it's probably done. The next one I'm very familiar with. It basically every year you would, in April after the elections, every year you would actually appoint a member of the code board or the zoning board or any boards, you would actually appoint a member there. It does work well, but one of the negatives are it gets a little political because the board members feel that they actually appointed by one member instead of the whole board. So it has its pluses and minuses, but it is used out there. The next one, familiar with too, it does work. It's where an applicant, we put it on the website, an applicant fills out an application, gives us a resume, we send it out to the council looks at the resume and the application. If they like what they see, they call up the applicant, they make an appointment, they interview them privately. And then if they like what they see, they recommend them for appointment to the board. I've seen that, it does work. The next thing is just about reappointment. I wouldn't go into that too much because that, excuse me, I had a peanut. I always have a peanut and it always makes me choke. But reappointment, basically, whatever process you pick would be different, so we don't need to talk about that much. And also this process I've never seen, but it's basically where before the term ends, that person has to reapply and the clerk would put it out there that there's an opening for that board. The next item we do have in our code where it says based on cause or no cause, the town council can remove a member. Peanuts. I should never eat peanuts before a meeting. I know, right? Yeah. 1 second, I apologize. So how do you want to proceed? Do you guys want to discuss, do you like to get a more formal detailed process, or do you want to stick with the more informal process? So did you like any of the processes that we went over, and we'll research them further? Mayor?
Well, I think I agree with you in one aspect. This is going to take a few months to
It is.
beat up, talk about, consider all of the, parameters of all of the stuff that's here. I think anytime we can adjust and make it better, it's a good idea.
Right.
But we really need to have some time to go over it, think about it, write it down, bring it back up in front of council, talk about it in front of everybody, and then go on from there. So, I mean, there's things in here I like and there's things I don't like. So
Yeah, if you could,
typically in the past, what's happened is the council has only really ever interviewed for vacancies on the council. That's where the interviews came in. So we've done that 2 or 3 times in the past 10 years or so. So other than that, you know, the staff pretty much knows the people that are wanting to get on different boards and participate, like Jeff and things of that nature. So there's a lot of things to consider. Any other thoughts?
No, I concur. I concur with that. There's some things here I like and don't like, and I think that we need to digest it and tweak what the current process is, and we can make it better. Let's make it better.
My thoughts exactly.
okay.
Good.
All right.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you can
So we'll
call
take
me and
it
we'll,
home. We
yeah,
can read it. We
Yeah.
can take notes, make notes.
and let me know what I should research further.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
you research it and then we'll bring it back and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. All right, this is going to be you too, Joe. We'll go septic to sewer informational session discussion.
We held our septic to sewer information meeting on July 15th. We also called it a charrette. We had 32 live people participate, actually watch it live. And we had 176, I checked today, views since then. So 5 times, so it's doing what we thought. 5 times more people are watching it while it's on there instead of watching it live. So it was very important that we did it virtual. A lot of people called us with questions. They were happy what they saw, and it was good that now we have something we can show them and say, go look at the YouTube channel, go look at our website, watch what septic to sewer is all about in Lake Clark Shore, what's proposed, and then if you have any questions, to call us. So that's worked out. We've had some good questions. But now, since the session's over, you all haven't had a chance to talk about it. So if you now this is the time for you guys to talk as a group and ask us any questions, staff.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Mayor. What I know the purpose of the septic to sewer was informational, to be able to provide the residents with some much needed clarity and information. There's a lot of information that was out there, so to kind of hone it in and bring it on target, a little bit more focused. So I guess the question is really, after this session, what's really next with the septic to sewer conversation? Because I know, Joe, we spoke, he said, hey, still on hold. We're waiting to get some resources in from the state, and we're looking for some different things. We're also, Kevin, to your point, putting in grants for dredging, and some of that stuff's already in the works and been processed and put on the table for us to get some of the money there. Talking to Joe, the process is a little bit different. It's no longer about appropriations from our elected officials. Now it's grants with the Florida Department, the DEP. So it's a little different process. So the question is, what is the next step as this process continues to, evolve and change, and what does that look like? What's next? Is it a discussion with the council? Do we continue in the septic to sewer process? Do we, move our focus to dredging the lake? Like, what is it, all encompassing? We're doing all this stuff at the same time, just waiting money from the state. What's the next step in the process?
It's up to you all. I could tell you where we're at right now. Right now, to answer Kevin's question, we do have a grant out for dredging. We do have a grant out for phase 2, which is Micah West. And we do have a grant out for phase 3, which is part of phase 3, 4, and 5 can be done all at once because that's a vacuum system. And to answer Tim's question, most of the engineering is on hold right now because phase 2 is ready and permit ready. We call that shovel ready, but phase 3 to 5 is 70% designed. It's already, the majority of it is all designed. It's just the placement of some pump stations that we need your input. But all of that's frozen because we're waiting for an answer on phase 2, and why should we? But we did we did put an application in for phase 3 for a grant too. And what we're hearing, nothing got really awarded in South Florida on septic to sewer last year. And what we're hearing is to be patient and keep asking for the money because it was all awarded in North Florida.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Joe. If I can, Mr. Mayor, I'd love to have a conversation with this council. I know we've been waiting for getting funds in to do the septic to sewer, and that's definitely still something that obviously getting grants and getting those funds is something that we're still working towards. But also love to have a conversation with this council. I know, if you're doing a septic to sewer, it doesn't make sense to pave roads, but I'd like to have a conversation about paving Pine Tree and getting that done. And, while we're waiting on funds, while we're waiting on different grants to come in to kind of help offset some of these expenses, getting some of these major roads repaired and paved. Love to have a conversation with this council about that because we've had many residents, not just tonight, but over my short tenure here, to express concerns about the roads and some of the challenges they're facing there, and just having that open dialogue discussion.
There's funding in the budget for those areas, a bunch of them that they're talking about, correct?
Yes, we,
That's in the budget.
but not the whole road. I think he's saying.
Not the whole road,
Yeah,
but
no.
the most important areas, it's a start.
Yes.
The areas that you're describing are on the radar. So that is going.
Yeah, and I'm referring to Pine Tree specifically, like the whole road.
The whole road?
The whole road, not just pockets of this and that. I'm talking about paving that puppy, getting her looking up to snuff so that residents feel safe. They feel like that, okay, that's a start. And then that, I believe, will give us a little bit more time to work on some of these other projects, while at least we've got that main thoroughfare paved and ready to go for residents. I think the timing issue is going to be sensitive with the bridge that's coming under construction here soon, and then paving Pine Tree. But I think it's a discussion that we need to have because a lot of residents are extremely concerned about that road.
I'm all for it. If there's money in the budget, we're coming up on the budget, find the money, right? And I'm happy to do it. I live on Pine Tree as well. Go up and down it all the time. So I'm good to go. Ladies?
I think we're probably all in agreement that it needs to be done, and you just hit the nail on the head. We are getting up to finalizing the budget next,
Right.
and I think we all agree it's a priority.
So that'll just be you'll have to meet with everybody individually to see where they want to pool money together to do that whole thing. What's the time frame with some of these companies that they get in there from the time you sign a contract? And because it's not just like you call up and say, hey, we want the road paved. And
It used to be that way. Now.
it used to be that way, I know, but it's not.
I would say it's at least 6 months now to get.
Yeah. So, but if it's going to happen within that time frame, sounds like he's looking to find money in the budget for this next budget year.
Wouldn't it be prudent to do it as a follow-up to the bridge?
Yes.
I think so.
Because you're gonna have a lot of traffic now. It's, maybe everybody's gonna
But-
be
But it is true, there are some areas that need some quick attention, which are already in the works.
No, we've identified them. I know we're Alpha and Beta Corridor and Pine Tree.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even affect me. And I totally agree that those areas are much worse than the north side of Pine Tree. But Pine Tree definitely looks pretty bad. I mean, it doesn't, to me, portray what this town is about. It's Lake Clark Shores, and that road looks horrendous. I don't know how else to put it. So I agree with the residents, not only because I live there, because I walk there every day
Sure.
and I see it and I drive it. So I walk it, drive it, and there are hazards. So now the bridge is gonna be done. They're gonna have a lot of traffic going there. So that's all done. We're gonna hit the hot spots. And then let's look at how we can move forward and get Pine Tree paved.
So just to give you a little, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's quite all right.
If I may, to give you a little timeline on, and it's prudent, it makes sense. You can't have the bridge closed and Pine Tree closed. It would be a nightmare. We would never get out of Lake Clark Shores. We would all live here, work here. We would just never be able to leave. But timeline on completion of the bridge. So Joe, can you give us a little start, expected end of that bridge again? Because the reason why I asked, if we look at Pine Tree and say, hey, this council says, hey, you know what, we're going to get that done. There is still going to be a lag in expectations. So I just want to manage expectations and make sure we're all on the same page with the conversation and dialogue that we're having today.
Of course. We have a very preliminary timeline from the contractor. Again, he said it's very preliminary, but it's very detailed. It's a timeline with 15 or 20 items on there. But it starts in October, where you close the bridge and that road there in October, and we open it back in June. He's still waiting on the confirmation of some materials, but that is the projected timeline right now. And there's another thing that I should mention. The county is talking about, and even I'm going to bring something to the council when it's ready, about starting an initiative about a transportation surtax. We have right now, we have a 6 cents sales tax. In Palm Beach County, we have 7 cents. 1 cent goes to the school board, the county, and all the municipalities. It's split up. It's called the infrastructure sales tax. That sunsets late next year, and they want to replace it possibly. You know, they're just discussing this right now, but they want to get your input, and it's not ready to come before you, but I thought this was important to talk to you about because it can be used for this. These funds can be only used for transportation, drainage, can't be used for septic sewer, but can be used for sidewalks and things like that. And it can be used for maintenance of roads. But it can't be used to build a city hall or something, or it can't be used to buy anything in the parks or something like that. So that's why the city's had problems with it. But that's going to come before you in the next few months, that discussion. And if that passes, we should have another source of revenue to pave roads. So I just want to make sure you knew that.
And that's on the ballot for November?
They have to put that on the ballot, but it will be in the next year.
In the following year?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
2025.
what they're looking at is they want to do a countywide traffic plan, with the needs we have. And we're trying to break up the county. We're one of the largest counties east of the Mississippi. Break it up into 3 regions, maybe north, south, and west, and to see what our needs are. So each municipality would be on board to see what our needs are. And obviously I would list all the roads that need to be repaved, sidewalks, drainage. It's you know, obviously some cities complain that they couldn't spend that money because they already did their roads with the infrastructure tax, but we definitely could use that money for
That'd be great.
And we're looking at if it goes on the ballot in 2025 and passes, it wouldn't be available to 2026. So
Yeah,
we're 2 years down the road.
right. I'm just letting you know because you're talking
Understood.
about, yeah.
Which, I mean, in all reality, if the bridge starts in October, it's done in June, and it's still a 6-month road, like, deal with like you said, hey, you can't get the roads done today. It's still a
Right.
6-month deal. That's still
Should work out.
that's still 2 years, give or take,
Right.
before the money rolls in. So I mean, look, I'd rather have the money than not have it, but I think it still works within the scope of potentially what we're trying to do as far as resources are concerned.
If you ask my opinion with the bridge coming on board and all that, it probably should not be budgeted for this fiscal year coming up. You should look at it next year, this time for the next year.
Next fiscal year for the roads.
Right. But definitely make it a priority if you want to discuss it or put it in the budget.
Vice Mayor Maples, thank you for bringing up the timeline. When we looked at the sections that we were going to approve to have paved, I can't remember if it was the last meeting or before, there was a lovely little map that you identified everything for us. Obviously, it's in our materials. Is there a way for the residents to see what's coming up and what we're approving? And is that something we can include on a website and
Yes.
notify them about?
We can put it on the website. The other part that we didn't mention is there's a standard operating procedure. It's mentioned a little bit here, but there's a standard operating procedure. If you're going to do a septic to sewer or you're going to rip up the road anyway, you don't pave a road for, you know, you look out for 10 years what you're going to do because a road lasts some roads last 20, 30 years, some last 20, it matters on volume of traffic. So if we're going to do a septic to sewer, you really shouldn't pave it and then repave it again. So I just want to make sure that's put
Mhm.
on the record too, but for the audience.
But there are also some areas that might need attention. due to
Obviously,
safety
there's one
issues.
area that we agreed with and
Right.
we put it in the budget. It's scheduled. We haven't got a date, but we signed the contract and we just haven't got a date when they're doing it.
What area was that specifically, Joe?
Pine Tree and Beta.
Pine Tree and Beta.
Beta's
really-
court,
Yeah.
Beta Court.
court, I believe. Not Circle Court. But Oak is on the list and Edgewater Drive, is it? Edgewater Circle?
Edgewater Circle.
Edgewater Circle and Oak is also on there to be paved in the next few months.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to ask one final question. So I know we dovetailed into the roads, just having that conversation, but where we are right now with septic to sewer is essentially grants have been written, everything's on hold until we hear from grants and underwriters and all the things that we're doing there. Is that correct?
That's the last direction I got from the council, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? No? All right, let's move on to 4D that you wanted to move from unfinished business.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. Unfinished business, it's basically for the approval to renew the agreement with Ackerman LLP, State of Florida Government Affairs Representation. Essentially, my ask here is just getting an understanding of how long they've been representing us in Tallahassee. When was the last time that we've actually checked for RFP on this thing? And hear me, not that they're doing a bad job, they're actually doing a really good job for the town. It's just incumbent upon me to make sure that if something goes out longer than 4 years, that we just double check, make sure we're getting the best price, we got the best people, everything is still a thumbs up, and we move forward with Ackerman if that's what we decide to move forward with. I just want to make sure we're being prudent and we're doing our due diligence and checking into some of these things. So my question for you, Joe, is how long have we, has Ackerman LLP represented the town of Lake Clark Shores?
I believe 2019.
2019, okay. And then there has not been any kind of check-in on that
I
RFP
can't answer.
or anything
I'd have
of
to
that
do some
nature?
research. I'm sorry.
No worries. But I if there was, I'm sure
I think
the
there was
piece
an
gonna.
increase last year possibly. It went up $500,
Oh, the cost?
the cost, yeah.
Well, which is,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
So one of the quick things about the whole process, how that goes up there, sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about relationships.
Right.
And how these guys all work together. You saw how Richard works and what he does and who he knows. And so sometimes that's part of it also.
Right,
So,
yeah, which is hard to put a cost on something like that.
sure.
And so the reason why I asked for this to be removed is just something for us to have a conversation about as it relates to, is it every 5 years we really evaluate vendors? Is it every 4 years? Like, when do we decide that we need to make sure? I mean, obviously, if they're not doing a great job for us, then we really jump on the, hey, we really need to check this out. But I mean, if we approve this now, then we're, again, well past 4 years. And have we done our due diligence to make sure that they're the best representation for this town? We're getting the best bang for our buck, whatever the cost may be. And I know it's hard to put a price on relationships, and it's really not about the money. It's more about just making sure we're doing our due diligence as council. That's my ask on that. So just open that up for discussion for this council to see, what their thoughts on that is. Something that we should potentially check and see if there's anyone out there that makes more sense, or do we want to approve this now and say, hey, let's circle back to this next year? Like, what are your thoughts?
Well, and the comment about the cost is correct. Originally, the town retained Ackerman Services at $25,000 a year, and that was true for the first several years, and then it was increased to $36,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I concur. However, I think we're coming up on this contract in September, which is around the corner. I also, I believe I read the agreement and it's on a month-to-month basis.
Yes.
So if we want to continue, research it and go with someone else, we can retain their services and then go on a month-to-month basis to see maybe there is somebody better, maybe there's not. And it's not about the money. It's about their contacts and networking. If you don't have the network, if you can't get in somebody's door, you can pay them you can pay them significantly more money than what we're paying. And if you can't get somebody in the door to get your issues heard, it doesn't matter what the company is. So I know they've done a good job. We're up here, it's coming up on September. I think if we want to look at somebody else, maybe pass this motion and move forward and see how we can, if there is somebody better, but we want to cut this contract off early or we want to bring it up next year. But we'll have our ducks in a row to see if there is a better firm out there that could serve the community better. That's my thoughts on it.
I think it's always worthy of evaluating vendors. However, I do think it's about the money in 2 points. One is Ackerman has delivered the money. Whether or not it was vetoed, that's going to be regardless of any lobbyist. And I also think if we really dig into this, we've worked with a lot of lobbyists at various municipalities. My sister is a lobbyist in DC. I think we're getting a deal for what has been delivered here. And I think we'll find that if it's explored. But I would say we evaluate vendors in the sense that they're not performing, they're not being successful. And all I've heard, like what you just said, Vice Mayor Maples, is that this representation has served the town well. That's my only comment.
Okay, so I've been working with these folks since 2019, and I will tell you the price that we are getting is in the ballpark. I go to a lot of meetings throughout Palm Beach County, and since this discussion is brought up, of course, it concerns me because I think Richard's very effective. I think for the money that you spend, you get it a good return on it. Richard's well connected. He has been very cordial to us in a lot of different ways other than just going up there and representing us and trying to get what we want. So I would say we approve this. So Charlie, I don't want to put you on the spot, but where would that leave you? How long have you been the town attorney?
Almost 35 years.
Yeah. And you know
He
what?
was in kindergarten.
And if it's not broken, you don't fix it. You've done a good job for us and you've been effective. And there's really, this is not like a pest control contract we're talking about over here. This is serious business that this gentleman does for us in his company. And I will remind you guys, you weren't there at this time, but when we went up there and we were meeting with Joe, you might have been there with us, but we were meeting with the top brass of the DEP, trying to figure out how this is all coming down on us. Where do we stand? Where will we stand? This won't go away, this septic to sewer. It's not going to go away for a lot of people in the state of Florida. How it gets picked up, if it gets left off, is another thing. So Richard had documentation and documentation and documentation for all of us there to make sure that we understood what these folks were talking about, because it wasn't just the town of Lake Clark Shores. There was other municipalities up there fighting for that dollar. And you see where it got them. The South gets nothing, the North gets it all. You go to some of these meetings where you're going to a League of City meeting and you meet with these different communities and you do this over the years and you start talking to them like just around here. Richard's local. He lives in West Palm Beach. He's been here forever. He knows our region. He knows the town of Lake Clark Shores. He knows the players that represent us at the state. So I cannot make a motion, but I would vote yes on a motion that says we maintain our relationship with Ackerman LLP.
And just for the record, let me be very clear. I'm not saying Richard's doing a bad job. Has nothing to do with Richard.
No, I understand.
So just for the record, it's more of just as a new council member, what is my responsibility and making sure that we're kind of checking all the boxes and looking at everything as we evaluate and go through the process. But that's just for the record.
No, I concur. I think this company's done great. I actually know, I've worked with Richard on another level from the fire service. So I think they've done us a great job, and I totally agree with you. The value you've gotten out of this is you're getting a good deal. It may sound like a lot of money for a lot of people, and it is a lot of money, especially for a small town, but you're getting your value out of this company. So I have no issue with this. Again, I concur with John that just to stay in tune and have the oversight, make sure that they do have the ducks in a row, and that they are the best firm in town. And so far, I have not seen anything to prove otherwise.
I agree. And thank you, Vice Mayor Maples, for bringing it up. I do think it's important for us to be assessing these items with vendors that have significant contracts. But I would like to make a motion for the approval to renew the agreement with Ackerman LLP. Do I have to read the whole?
This,
No.
that's
Second.
good. Not. Second,
Yes, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0.
May I make a statement?
Yes, sir.
Just for the audience, why we say it's worth it, because let me give you an example. Lobbyists can strike out, and that's 36,000. But in 2022, which is not too long ago, we got $600,000. So that's why we are saying it's worth the money. So I just want to make sure you all knew that.
And we actually did get approved for the second
Well,
Albert that got vetoed.
Well,
by
I want them to deliver all the way through the governor's veto and everything, you know.
Sign that pen.
But
He's aware that we want it every time, not just sometimes.
I want
We want it all the
I
time.
want the money.
Exactly.
But just wanted to put that in perspective. That's how lobbyists work. You might not get anything for a couple of years or even 5 years, but then you get $1 million. It definitely pays for the $36,000. So just want to put it in perspective.
Okay, let's move to new business. New business, we have proposedly Clark Shores Community Arts Festival. Welcome, welcome. We're glad to see you all again. What do we want to say here, Joe?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Tell us the where, to when, and the how.
No, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Let me just find where I'm at without the peanut in my throat.
I've already been talking to people about this and everybody's ready to go.
All right.
Sounding better and better every day.
You probably recall back in February, this front row here came in and they said they'd like to see an art festival in town. So it was suggested they would meet with staff and see if this can be worked out. Last year, we started and recommended a special permit, a special events permit. And this is our first example. So let me go through it a little slower this time because it's our first time. It's very common for every city that I know to have a special events permit. And what it is, anything that has a large impact in your town, and we talk about attendees. So anybody over 75 attendees that's advertised should get a permit in town. If it's under 75, or if it's a local special event, which means it's on a church property, that can be approved administratively. It does not have to be approved through the council. So why do we do this? Before we get into the process, why do we have a special? Because obviously we've never had that in town, and now I'm pushing for this. It's for safety. The main thing is for safety, to make sure we have the right resources at the right time in the right place, all with the police department, of course, and fire rescue. Also, it has to do with knowing what the plan is, you know, or who the contact people are. You know, if they're running an event in our town, in our parks, in our lake, we should know about it, and we should have a process to approve it. So I feel very strongly about that. So, but it's all about safety, safety, safety. Other factors that are important is it defers liability. Usually you get a certificate of insurance from the applicant, and it defers our insurance and it goes on another insurance company. So we don't get any claims experience that could be negative. Also, just to recoup costs. This is important, but we can phase this in because this is a new thing and it is an expensive thing on this part. The permit fee is very small. It's $100. It's not a big deal. But if you, like this event, if let's say what happens on the process, I'll go over the process a little bit. They come in, they fill out an application. We look at it. If it's sufficiently filled out, we put it on the agenda. If you guys deny the application for this event, it goes no further. If it is approved, Then I meet with the chief, I meet with the police department, I meet with fire rescue, or I meet with the public works department. What impact will this event do to our town, and what cost do we have to charge the applicant? So we haven't done that yet, but we will do that. So, but that is, I'm not really worried about that, and hopefully you agree with me, because this is new and we haven't collected any of this money in the past. So you can phase that in. You can say, we'll charge you 25% of the bill or 50% of the bill and charge you whatever to get everybody, because there's going to be people that are complaining about this because of that cost. To give you an example, if you have a police officer for 4 hours, that's $300, $75 times $4, 4 hours. So it can, you know, in some cities, recouping costs are tens of thousands of dollars because there's 10 officers at day and night. This is not the event we're talking about here, but you can see what I'm talking about. If there's a big that closes roads and stuff like that, it's usually police that has the biggest impact. But why should all the residents pay for that? It's a special event. The applicant should pay for it eventually. So does that make any sense on the process?
Mhm.
Okay, good. So where we're at is they're presenting this art festival. They've already had a meeting with us. They're presenting it this year. The venue would be here because of the bridge closing at our town hall park and back all the way in the tennis courts in the pavilion using our parking lot. They project about an estimated 600 attendees, up to 20 volunteers. And that's basically where, you know, now we would go into a presentation by them selling this event, and then you would approve it. And then again, we would meet as staff and see what the costs are. And then we can update you if we want to cut a break to the all, because we're going to have a lot of people coming in about special events in the next few months. I'm having a meeting tomorrow. There's a lot of events, you know, that they're going to get this news. If you haven't got calls yet. I know some of you got calls already. So we already put this in our fee schedule last year. And again, the fees are not expensive, $100, $200 for a permit. That's not the thing. It's that recoup. It's to recoup the cost. That's what gets expensive. So this is the time, Mayor, if you want to make the applicant make a presentation, a short one, they can.
Would you like to? We'd love to hear from you.
Rita Jordan, 8100 Westlake Drive. Yes, we are hoping to get approval for this event. The residents have been very enthusiastic. Recouping costs, I get that. We would charge a participation fee. The artist would provide a tent, 10 by 10 white tents. And the fees typically for a small event, like we'll probably have, is typically between $75 and $100. We would establish this final cost once we get more of an idea of the cost we have to recoup. The liability insurance is a fairly simple process. There are companies that's all they do for a very small fee, relatively speaking. We would be able to easily get the $1 million coverage for you guys. I think what else I can say. The police, the chief's input as to what would be the requirements. We look forward to his evaluation. I don't know what else I could add that you've already.
Well, just that it's proposed
What date?
November 2nd.
What date are you?
Yes.
It's proposed on November 2nd. The
November?
time it's
November 2nd, being that is a great time of year. The residents, the snowbirds are back, and there are the West Palm County is buzzing with different events like that. We're approaching the holidays, so people are shopping, and again, there's a lot of creative people, residents in this neighborhood, and for them to be able to showcase and bring some culture to the town, I think it's a worthwhile consideration.
I'm all for it.
I'm all in.
okay.
What are their limits of liability they're required to carry for that? Charlie?
It's typically $1
that's
million,
gonna be a
but
concern.
some require 2 million. You'd have to set the limits that you're looking for, but It typically is $1 million or $2 million.
I would say that's a staff recommendation.
The main thing is naming us additionally insured.
Yes.
And the event is from 10 to 4. I'm advertising.
That was gonna be
I'm
my next
advertising the.
question.
yeah.
That's good. That was gonna be my next question.
There's setup and takedown and and these are things we'll go down. If you approve this event, we'll go over this with their committee and say, are you going to clean up? Are you going to do the setting up? Do you need our help? And this is where we come up with the recouping costs.
Typically, the artists are responsible for their setup, but then we would have our volunteers there to assist. And of course, they will take care of cleanup throughout the event.
Do you have a number of artists that you're looking to cap it at, or you'll take?
I mean, we literally have to do
Say
the
20,
math of
30?
the square footage versus,
Yeah, there's a lot of room
Yeah.
there. There's a lot of
And
room.
we're
there.
also hoping to use the pavilion where that would be an additional, that would be considered
A premium.
premium. Thank you. That's the word I wanted. And so the artist would pay a little more to have that covered. So we'd want to have an area for the children and face painting. We want to have food trucks and vendors, and the town manager here has assured us that that is something that you could help us coordinate very easily. And
So it's a one day event?
one day, and we thought that, that would be a good way to start it.
Yeah.
And not going into the evening. Some events go into the evening, but we're keeping it just the daytime on a Saturday.
Did you say November 2nd?
Yes.
Saturday, gotcha.
Yes.
Just making sure.
And have you-
I have a printout here of where we hope to lay things out, if you haven't seen that.
No, we put in the,
Okay,
Yeah.
I saw it.
trying to think. Just that, there are a lot of artists here that when they have heard about this, they're very excited. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I think that it'll be easy for us to get enough.
That's why I'm asking, because you
Participation,
might have
right.
more than you think.
Right.
Could be a large number.
We're thinking of having it a juried, we'll provide experts in the industry, maybe some gallery owners that would be the judge, and we could have some rewards.
Absolutely.
We'd like to have it a typical arts festival.
So we need to make a motion.
Make a
to
motion.
approve.
yes.
So do we have a motion to
I would
approve?
love to make the motion to
No,
approve
thank
this.
you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful.
Carried.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
These kind of events enhance our quality of life. So I'm very excited.
Okay. Pine Tree Lane Bridge Replacement Engineering and Inspection Services.
Thank you, Mayor. As you all know, the bridge is required to have, any bridge that's built in the state of Florida is required to have an independent engineering group that then design it, be an inspector. And they have to inspect basically any work that's being done. So there's a lot of hours that have to be out there for those 8 or 9 months. We budgeted $200,000 in next year's budget. We have the opportunity to piggyback on a West Palm Beach contract. It's a well-qualified firm. If you looked at their bio in here, they did a lot of work in a lot of the cities just right around us. And they're well-qualified. And they came in under budget at estimated about $186,000 and change. So due to the time constraint of not going out to bid, it's not normal that we don't go out to bid on something like this, but due to this $600,000 of an appropriation expiring and this opportunity to piggyback on a bid that's already been out to bid, which is the city of West Palm Beach, I'm recommending that we take this opportunity. And it also, we have to forego our purchasing policy because it does say in our purchasing policy that we should not piggyback for these type of services. I don't want to change our purchasing policies because I do agree with it, but because of these time restraints and other things, I believe we should take advantage of this contract.
Did we have a motion to move forward?
So the motion will have to include waiving your current policy, which prohibits,
I have the motion. If you just read the motion, it has it in there. In the bottom, right?
yes.
I'll make the motion that the town recommends that the town council award the contract to Baxter and Woodman Consulting Engineer in the amount not to exceed $190,000 for construction engineering and inspection services for the Pine Tree Lane Bridge Replacement Project and to forego the town's purchasing policy provisions on not piggyback on these types of services.
We have a second?
I will second.
All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
carries.
Thank you.
4-0.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Chief Adams, you've been so patient with us. We're happy to see you. Come on up here. Oh, you're gonna do it from there? I wanted you to come on up here. Come on up, see us. We appreciate you being able to stay with us this evening.
I almost needed you tonight, Chief, because that peanut was right here. I couldn't talk.
A lengthy report last time to provide, but it was a lengthy meeting, so I apologize that I had
That
to
was
go.
quite all right.
No problem.
All right, it was a little expected to be a few more minutes, but that's great. I'm happy. Okay. As far as the numbers for last month, looks like we had run 27 calls here. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. My name is Tracy Adams, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue District Chief that serves your area. I'm very proud to serve the town of Lake Clark Shores. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for me to present tonight. So last month, looks like we ran about 27 calls in Lake Clark Shores, 19 of them being medical, fire alarms 4, 1 fire, 1 vehicle accident, and then the rest of them just miscellaneous. So I want you guys know well, the beginning of the month, when we had Tropical Storm Debbie, the state at about 10 o'clock at night on Sunday decided that they were going to start deploying local firefighters to the northern area about Ocala area and start to put together strike teams. So I had gotten a call early Monday morning to find out who we could send. So we did send 2 rescues staffed with 5 firefighters on there that has certain credentials to go up to be deployed to the storm. So we deployed 2 rescues called a strike team. Palm Beach Gardens deployed the leader. West Palm Beach Fire Department provided 2 rescues, and Boynton Beach provided a rescue, and Riviera Beach provided a rescue. So we were able to deploy those resources to the state. They were staged up in Ocala. They were prepared to be there for 7 to 14 days. They are back home safe. So it's great that we're able to help as needed like that for the state. Lots of ceremonies going on with Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. On Friday, we had a recruit class graduation. There was about 30 to 40 new recruits that graduated after 12 weeks of vigorous training. And our battalion here in Battalion 10, which serves your area, we received 5 brand new recruits. So that's always a lot of fun to have. We have brand new probies in the house right now that we're teaching. So that's exciting. Tomorrow I go to Orange to Black ceremony. And Orange to Black, when you are a probie, you get an orange helmet shield, and that signifies you're on probation. And when their year is complete and they're able to be a permanent employee off probation, they get a permanent black helmet shield. And trust me, the day that their year is over, they are like, Chief Adams, where's my helmet at? So it's an honor. I mean, we have that pretty much for safety too. So we know, when we have to motor vehicle accidents, we know who's new to be able to kind of watch. And it's just kind of a rite of passage. So tomorrow we have a ceremony where they'll be getting their black tag. So that's quite an honor for them as well. August 19th, we have a new recruit class starting. So having a whole another bunch of employees beginning their rigorous training of 12 weeks. And then we also put our hire out a few weeks ago, and we're going to start to do, I think we had about 600 applicants that we're starting to go through the hiring process. And then we'll develop lists, and throughout next year, we'll start to put classes through. And that usually, that list will be about for a year. So that's how we're doing that. And other than that, I really encourage you guys to look at the Facebook page, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, because we have a lot of information on the Facebook page, all upcoming events. We're doing a lot of back to school safety events and all the public education, plus all the calls that we've been running and just a valuable amount of information. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
I
Nice to
know a
see
lot of these-
everyone.
A lot of these recruits are for attrition. Is there any proposal for new stations coming online?
Yes. Well, we did actually, just about a year ago, our numbers at Station 33, which is Kirk and Southern, we were able to get an extra truck there, an extra rescue truck, which is called a Bravo truck. So to get a Bravo truck, rescue truck, there's about 5 different criteria that you need to meet. And the largest, of course, is the amount of calls you're running in that area for a year. So we did obtain a second rescue there as well. They're talking about looking maybe at having a ladder truck at some point. Most of the other battalions in the county do have a ladder truck. So we're working the numbers on that as well. I'm on the staffing committee. So as I get updated, I will let you guys know as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Chief, during your absence, I was appointed to the regional hazmat. Yes, so I just thought I'd let you know that because we hadn't seen you in a while and you had been here a couple of meetings. So we will have our second meeting coming up here in the beginning of September. They still haven't picked a chair or anything like that because it's a little behind
I
schedule.
think you'd be
but-
amazing to be the chair.
Well, we'll see. You got to be sitting up here to be the chair there.
Congratulations. You could always
So nice to see you.
phone
Thank
a
you for your
friend if you
report.
need me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief Smith, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
You don't call, you don't write, haven't seen you. How are you? You all right?
Got up this morning.
Good, good.
The police department last month responded to 156 calls. That includes 911s and assist calls. Sampling of the calls, domestic violence, a couple of those. There's some arrests made, theft, neighbor issues. We had an occupied burglar. He was arrested. And we handled numerous civil issues during the month. Traffic, some people find this interesting. We did 237 traffic stops. We handled 6 crash reports, accidents. We issued 51 criminal citations, 58 non-moving citations, and moving citations 27. We gave out 135 warnings. The camera system, we processed 101,484 tags of vehicles coming in and out of the town. We had no criminal issues. That's good. So it's a good process. Keller Road, we're still doing directed patrols because of we had a couple of people complaining. Last month, we did 93 with all 3 different shifts, no violations. We did it again, 93 directed patrols on all 3 shifts, even the midnight shift, with no issues as far as people speeding. Also on the speed camera system that's set up, I gave you a printout so you can look and see where the speeds are on Keller Road. The camera system that we talked about for surveillance, we had 5 people sign up for that. So I think that's going very well.
Thank you, Taylor.
You all.
During the month, we did have 5 arrests. People wanted on warrants, issued criminal, domestic violence, battery, assaults, a couple of those. They were booked in the county jail. Code enforcement, a lot of people find this interesting. We had 84 new code enforcement violations issued. 68 re-inspections were done, 12 remaining. Generally, we have a good response with people complying with code enforcement. We had 25 complaints about code problems that was handled. 7 violations were issued. The other people complied. 13 cases will be presented to the code board, and I believe there's 5 cases remain in violation. There were like 9 false alarm notifications, 1 fine issued for a false alarm, and we registered 2 golf carts. And that's my report. I got the training and sampling some of the calls. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Chief, I have a quick question for you. It's not necessarily related to this, but I received a phone call recently about squatters. What is, what's going on with that situation? How do we handle that?
Well, we have.
No, it's like fire. That word travels. you know.
We haven't had any issues, but Florida has passed a law where somebody does that, they can be arrested.
Yep.
On your property. You show up and say, this is your property. There's no arguing about a civil issue. You get arrested for burglary.
There's just a couple locations here in town and somebody brought that to my attention regarding that. And I had asked, well, what first, the first thing I said is if you see something, call the police department.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of times.
That's the first
people
thing you
will
do.
Relate things, but they don't call us and then we hear.
Well, that's right. Because,
I'm not aware of anything like that.
No. all right. Do we have any other questions for the chief?
Steve, thank you for coming to these meetings and hearing different residents talk about Keller Road and always stepping up to the plate. Just for the good of the order, what is a direct patrol? What does that mean? What is your team doing out there?
Directed patrol is if we have an issue, the supervisor through the chief, or it could be the manager, or it could be the council bring up issues, and we would direct the officers to patrol that particular area. So we have complaints. Sometimes you get one or two people complaining, and we're very accommodating here. So we spend the resources to do that. And the manager talked to me. We're doing this for a few more months, but we really have no issues in that area. And there is, I mentioned at the last meeting, we have 2 speed humps, and then Lake Worth put in half a dozen coming in. That doesn't mean somebody can speed and somebody goes out and sees it, but generally that's probably the safest road and the slowest road in our town.
Thank you, Chief.
Anything else?
No, thank you
No?
very much.
All right. Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Charlie?
My report is included in your agenda packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Scheck? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Charlie. Mr. LaBelle?
Well, congratulations on your appointment, Mayor. It's
Oh,
an honor.
yes, thank you.
Upcoming meetings, we have the next meeting, it's a Monday. We have 2 meetings in September. The first one is a Monday, September 9th, and the 2 meetings are because they're required for budgets. Every municipalities in Florida has to have 2 meetings, and they can't conflict with the county or the school board. That's why we have to have it on a Monday, September 9th, same time. The next meeting will be on the September 24th, which is a Tuesday. Upcoming events, we're going to have next week Footprints, our senior club. Red Cross is going to present something on fall prevention. And we have the international cleanup on September 21st. It's from 8 to 12. We're still going to meet at the boat ramp, correct?
Yes.
And it's a great event. We clean up our parks, we clean up our waterways, and it's so please volunteer for that event. I've gone the last couple of years. They do a really good job. We do a really good job with that. We're having the 3rd annual Monster Food Truck on October 25th. And on October 29th, we're going to have our Halloween decorating contest. And now I have to add, that's not in print, November 2nd, we'll have our Lake Clark Shores Arts Festival. So congrats. As you can see, the septic to sewer session there, when I wrote this on the 9th, we had 131 views, and now we have 176. So just in a week, we had 40 views. So as you can see, people are watching it. We dodged a bullet with Debbie. We were prepared, staff was prepared, we had meetings, and obviously we're very fortunate, not like the West Coast or the Panhandle that had lots of flooding, Sarasota and that area. So it's not too late to get a plan. If anybody has any questions, go to our website, call us, call me. If you have any questions, especially people are listening that this is their first season, they're from up north, they don't really know what a plan is and they don't know what to do, how to secure their property and to secure themselves, give us a call. We're here to help you. Pine Tree Bridge, I did go over the timeline a little bit, but I'll put that on the website when the contractor feels pretty confident that that's going to be the timeline. But basically, it's October. We might get FP&L out there in September, start removing some poles, but really we're going to close it possibly in October to June. That's what preliminary we're looking at. We are going out to bid on building official and plan review and inspection services. We've had the same contractor for 2014. And again, that doesn't mean we'll change, just like John's point. It's an excellent point, but it is good to go out to the marketplace. So we're doing that. This will be before you in October on the October meeting. We already are to bid for master planning the 3 parks, the Memorial Park, Pine Tree Park, and North Park. We already are out to bid for lighting and community park. We talked about the registered camera for the cameras. We're changing our phone system. Hopefully that goes well next month. We have a program where we're checking everybody's service line for water if there's any lead pipes in town. And fortunate, we've done all of Lake Clark Shores. We haven't found anything, so that's good news. We're at our last section, which is all the way by the Hypoluxo system, and we're 50% done. So we haven't found any lead yet, so keep our fingers crossed. We had a water main change out that was completed, so that's good news that was completed. And I just wanted to show you how that's not a black and white picture. That's the faded sign, that what it used to look like. I don't know if you noticed, our entrance signs we redid. No, not that sign. We redid our entrance signs. The staff, they acid washed them, they painted them, they put plants, and they look really good. Yes, that is our new rendering of the bridge that came out. I think it came out nice. It's a really nice rendering. So we're going to hang that at the town hall. So if anybody has any questions, let me know about the staff report.
Any questions?
Do a quick question, follow up on the.
I know we were working on Don't Block the Box.
Yes.
Did they ever say after that sign they were going to paint the road, or where were we at with the bridge?
They said keep talking to them. Obviously, with school not being in, we didn't have much of an issue. So I'm going to monitor it now with school starting. And if we do, they will actually, what we have right now is on Forest Hill and Pine Tree Lane, we have signs that say do not block the box. So because there's such a traffic jam for Forest Hill High and I-95 during the morning. So what the next step is, DOT will come in and they'll actually paint a box around the whole intersection, and more pronounced, it says do not be in the box. And it shows that obviously the police officers can write you a ticket. You should never be in the box while there's a red light. So we will monitor that. That's definitely on my radar.
Or when there's a green light.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Well, it is very bad there.
For green.
It's pretty good.
I'm sure I'm going to go to ask for level 2,
Yeah.
but they obviously, they like steps.
Sure.
And is that for, talking about Pine Tree and Forest Hill?
Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Great, thank you, Joe.
Sure. So some things.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the update.
Yeah, what do you got?
If I can add to my report, because Bridget asked again about the poles on Pine Tree Lane. I did get FP&L finally got back to me today. So those poles, where they're doing hardening on those lateral poles, they're taking out the wood poles and putting in concrete poles, and then they have to take off the AT&T. They cut them in half, and they have AT&T and Comcast still on there. So there's still a couple poles that have AT&T and Comcast on there, but not many. But they said the rest they should get out by the end of next month. So, well, keep your fingers crossed. The last time they told me it was May.
It's
Right.
3 months out. It's going to be May.
Right.
Then May came and went, and we're still waiting.
And
So thank you. I mean, they're an eyesore, but they're an eyesore for the community.
right, thank you.
I don't know if you want to elaborate, or I know you don't have a whole lot of information about the power line that's going through
Yeah,
the park.
through the park. Nothing to elaborate, but there's a line, believe it or not, that goes right in the middle of our park on Pine Tree Park. And it makes no sense why you have an electrical when it can be detoured and going down and we've asked FP&L and Bell South and Comcast. We did get confirmation that Bell South is going to move their wire. So it's a slow process, but you don't have any teeth, but we're going to keep asking them to remove that line.
Yeah, the reroute, and correct me, is that it goes right from Forest Hill in the park Venetian Way. And there's actually a pole in one of the residents' yard. They want to just take that line on Venetian Way, detour to Pine Tree, and then out to Forest Hill. It makes zero sense that we have this major power line running through the park, and with the bridge coming up and the future improvements to the park, we want to try to get ahead, because you know how things happen. The streets take 6 months to get them paved. We don't know how long it's going to take FPNL to move that forward. So we're trying to stay ahead of it,
We are asking.
and that's all we can do.
Okay, we'll move on to council comments. Taylor?
Well, there's certainly no summertime for staff and police and fire. So thank you all for all your hard work. You have been busy. And I also just want to say that I'm very excited about the new art festival. If there's anything that I can do to help along the way, please let me know. The arts are a very important part of the community, but to me personally as well. So just grateful that you brought it forth and have put the effort necessary to make it come to fruition.
Yes, I thank you as well. I look forward to, I enjoy these arts festivals. I go to everywhere. I still go to some in Miami. So I'm looking forward to have one represent our community, and hopefully we can grow this and be not only county known, but world known. I have a few friends that are artists, so I don't know, I'll tell them that's coming up, but I know they have their own agendas. You know, they have many other events they go to, and if that's one that are available, or I'll let them know. But thank you, and thank you, staff. Again, we're a well-oiled machine. Without you, we can't do our job up here. So thank you for allowing us to do our job and helping the community in a seamless manner.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So wanted to say first, thank you to everyone for participating in the Septic Sewer informational session. You presented questions, you had some concerns, you listened, you watched, you got educated. So thank you guys for being a part of that process. Thank you to this council, you know, for sharing your opinion and ideas. I know I tend to be, good word. Well, I challenge the status quo often. And so I know that this council sometimes it's like, but I appreciate you guys listening and sharing your perspective. My neighbor who passed away on July 10th was Ariel, my next door neighbor. Literally went to his house, and his wife Sandra and his two daughters, they're off to college. His girls, they're young. And so that was, thank you, Mayor, for having that moment of silence for Ariel. He was a great man, a great family. And, you know, two daughters he left behind and his wife. So, you know, think about them as you go about that deal. And thank you to the town for all their hard work and the staff and everyone and part of the team. But excited. Thank you all for coming tonight. And you guys have a great week.
Okay. So a couple of things. The League of Cities having their annual conference, starts on Thursday, runs through Saturday. So we'll be going there. Vice Mayor, you're going? Bridget, you're going? Yes? Taylor, you're not going. Okay. So this is where we go there and we make our connections throughout the state, talk to people to see. I agree with due diligence 100%. Absolutely, positively. The town of Lake Clark Shores does a lot with a little. We really do. If you get out there into other communities, it's a great place. I advocated for a long time and I haven't given up on it, but an amphitheater in the back there. We have a lot of space back there that's unutilized. There's like a half court basketball, and we, first my children, now my grandchildren, use the park quite a bit, especially when it's not 200 degrees out. But that being said, the wheels of government move very slowly, but we have small, steady steps and we will persevere. That's why we do these meetings. That's why we go to Tallahassee. We're not always going to get what we want. Sometimes we get what we want and they snatch it right away from us. But you know what? You go back, you keep going, you get back up and you keep going. And that's what we're doing here. I think we have a good plan in place.
Yes, sir.
You have to have a plan your work and work your plan. And I think everything's moving along pretty good. So I'll be looking forward to next meetings as the budget will be coming out and we will be finalizing the budget and we'll know where the money lands. It's And when you start finding out more about the surtax from there are dollars in there for us that we can use for those very things. Because it's not just pine trees around here. There are other places, but I will say that Joe has made a real effort to go out and identify the areas in most need. Because as he talks to consulting engineers, and we all do, it's not, especially for a small town with a small budget, easy to find those dollars to do something that you're just gonna, in maybe possibly 3 to 5 years, tear it right back up. So we'll keep hitting those areas too, okay?
Yes, sir.
I know this is early, but please put it on your radar because it's one of the good things about the lake cleanup. Oh, you know what? Now that we said that, is there any way, who was the engineering firm have left the boom underneath the South Bridge? Have you seen that? The boom is still there. I didn't know if they left it there for a reason or if they can remove that or.
I don't know. I'll
Because
check
that's
into
a skinny area.
Yeah.
I showed you that one area there.
Yeah.
When you get a couple of boats and jet skis going through there, it's just, maybe check that out.
I will.
When you go in there, stand over there and just look at it and see. I
Okay.
think one of those engineering firms must have left it there. So thank you, everyone. Have a very good evening. Congratulations. We look forward to November 2nd and motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Let it be written.
Second.
Thank you.